Right, all right. Peace and love, whatever though, what it do, what's popping, what's cracking, what's happening in times nine, times 10. There you go. There go that guy right there. Purple Fly Royalty. They call it the Midwest. We call it the Mini. Minneapolis back, I say late 80s, early 90s. Detroit called Minneapolis Mini. You know what I'm talking about? Excuse my hip hopish vernacular, but it is what it is. So you see the title. Growing up in my household in the 80s, you know, we talk about movie soundtracks, right? Where I'm at. What up? What y'all doing? Right? We're talking about movie soundtracks or whatnot, right? And there were many Many, not many like Minnie, like Minnie Riperton, you know? Um, but again, for me, the Purple Rain soundtrack would be number two for multiple reasons, right? Let's we gonna deal with this 80s babies term too, which we have dealt with or which I have discussed multiple times. For me, in order for you to qualify as being an 80s baby, it means that you grew up in the 80s, not you were necessarily born in the 80s. Because let's just say you were born in 1989, then that means you miss Thriller the album, Thriller the video, mini movie. How do we classify that? That was something we were debating earlier today, whether or not Thriller could make this particular list that we're going to deal with this evening amongst other current events throughout your mainstream media, your underground media, you know what I'm talking about? Mass media as a whole, where journalists get to be journalists, and so on and so forth. Artists get to be artists and be creative at their craft, and so on and so forth, right? So, again, the movie Purple Rain, it comes out in 1984. It's released summer of 84. I'm more than sure because the week that the movie came out, keep in mind this is a rated R movie. If it's 1984, how old do you think I was in 1984, right? I'm a I'm a I'm a youth, a supreme shorty, elementary, you know what I'm talking about? And I saw the movie Purple Rain four times the week it came out. I went the weekend. I don't think it was opening day because the first time that I went, and I vividly remember this, right? I went with the neighborhood children, you know what I'm saying, and teenagers or whatnot. So it was like a Saturday afternoon originally when Miss Mary and um Miss Lisa took us, right? So the next day I went with the bigger kids, all teenagers. I was the only youngin', right? And the third time I went with my immediate relatives, mother and my brothers, right? The fourth time I went, um, peace be upon him, my uncle Lee came from Gary, Indiana, um, with his family, and they stayed at the Hyatt Hotel in Dearborn, right? Um, the Hyatt Hotel that's right next to Fairlane, the mall in Dearborn called Fairlane, right? But in 1984, there was what you call a people mover, like how we have downtown in Detroit. It's a little train up high to take you from here to there because we don't have that type of transit system here outside of the people mover downtown where it is a train that takes you here or there. They do got some little whatever it is on Woodward, a little trying thing, but Woodward was just street number one. Like that's not gonna get you everywhere you need to go in Detroit. So again, there was a people mover that would take you from the Hyatt Hotel to Fairlane to the mall, right? Back then. And you know, my older cousins and the cousins from Gary, they hadn't seen Purple Rain yet. And I'm like, we went to see Purple Rain. So that's time number 4. I don't actually even remember if I seen the movie additional times that week or within the first 2 weeks that it came out, but 4 times in a row. So you can imagine by the time we get the movie on VHS tape within my household, like the Purple Rain album already had marks and scratches, and it is what it is. But Purple, what is number one? What is number one? And let me go back to the comments so I don't miss anything, right? Number one in my household during the 80s at the same time, we'll just say in 1984, the number one movie soundtrack in my household was one that didn't come out in the 80s. It actually came out in the 70s, right? It actually was released in 1972. You know, I wasn't even here yet. But in 1984, it was still the number one played movie soundtrack in my household, right? And that's Superfly, Curtis Mayfield. Like literally, I can't say we can listen to it today because I do listen to it today. Um, Actually, I can't think of the name of the particular orchestra and exec who put it together, but it's a tribute to Curtis Mayfield, and Ledisi and Bilal are the two singers that they utilize to pay homage to Curtis, and it's downloaded on my phone, so I hear it almost every day, right? Um, it is what it is. That's the number one. Although again, Purple Rain was released in 1984, and let's talk about Purple Rain a little bit more. And let me take Prince down since I gave up the number one within seconds of the bill. You didn't even have to wait for it. It is the number one movie soundtrack of my lifetime growing up. You know what I'm saying? Is the Superfly movie soundtrack that was done in its entirety by Curtis Mayfield. The same way the movie Coffee, which stars Pam Grier, Roy Ayers exclusively is the a musician who does, you know what I'm saying? You have that again. You also have that with Black Caesar uh, by way of James Brown, right? These are all movies that were released before I was born, but again, the movie soundtracks were always played. So like Superfly, I didn't see Superfly until I want to say 1988 on a VHS tape, right? But I had heard the movie soundtrack my entire existence, so it was a little bit different getting to see the movie because I'm young, I'm super young, right? And I just know the music. I didn't know that the main character, I didn't know he was going to be sniffing the cocaine. So I was like, what? He sniffed the cocaine. And not only that, he had an ankh on his neck and he was using the ankh to sniff the cocaine. Now, as a child, uh, that was very, very bad in my eyesight based on my experience, right, at the time. But as a mature adult now, I can just say I don't feel the same way about it. Like it is what it is. Number one, it's a film, it's a movie, it's a betrayal of multiple traffickers during that time. Who what is his name? Gordon. What is the guy who directed this? Uh, Gordon Parks. What, is that his name? Pardon me, I wasn't even, born yet, but I'm just saying, um, he's admitted to utilizing various a little bit. Thank you. Yeah, so I was right when I said Parks. Good looking, Gordon Parks. I was correct when I said that he used a little bit of various hustlers. I said traffickers, you know what I'm talking about? So I'm from the D, so y'all know I know what I know, as far as peace be upon them, Eddie Jackson and and YBI, and even though I shouldn't have said YBI because this predates the Young Boys Incorporated. To my understanding, they came about in the late 70s, and this is 1972 that we're speaking of right now. Um, yeah, but let's go back to the Purple Rain. So I seen it 4 times, and uh, Prince was that guy. If you saying that he wasn't that guy in '84, you fronting. And I just got some knowledge, or for something I never considered again. I was speaking about um 1999, the album 1999 that came out before Purple Rain was a double album, right? And Purple Rain comes out in summer of '84. I can be wrong, but I think I'm right. I know 1999 came out in '83, but was it released like spring of '83, or was it released like um summer, or fall or winter of '83? But that's like almost 3 albums within 1 year from Prince, right? You got 1999, which is a double album. Then you have the soundtrack for the movie Purple Rain, right? That's like 3 albums that we had to listen to within a year's time from that one particular artist, versus a Michael Jackson, who, you know, we had Off the Wall, we had Thriller, Bad, and I can't pinpoint the names of all the other albums, but these were years apart from each other. Meanwhile, you have Prince dropping basically 3 albums within 1 year. And I was bringing up DMX because I was like, yeah, everybody always accredits DMX for releasing 2 albums in 1 year, but what about Prince with the 3 albums within a year span of time? Like I said, he didn't release both of them in '83, and he didn't release both all 3 of them in '84. But I'm about to look at Google just because we have the ability to do so. This is something we didn't have the ability to do so if I was arguing with someone about this, or debating with somebody about this, or somebody who is respectful, so I will be dialoguing with them about this issue, right? So Prince, Purple Rain. Matter of fact, I don't feel like doing all that talking. Where my other phone at? Again, um, I can name Little Red Corvette, and the title of the album 1999, and Dance, Music, Sex, Romance. Just imagine I'm listening to this shit at like in the second and third grade. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. We always try to say how bad and sexually charged the music of today is, as if it didn't it exist in the '80s. If, to be real, if you didn't have sexually charged music, and music that was explicit back in the '80s, you wouldn't have had it in the '90s, and you wouldn't have it now, because there would be, because it's a roadmap that follows the same way hip hop has sampled every music genre you can name. Not just we didn't Hip hop didn't just sample from R&B and jazz. You know what I'm saying? It sampled from other genres of music as well. Whether you're talking about rock, country, folk, classical, it just is what it is. But yeah, it was. Prince had initially he had Vanity 6, right? And when things didn't, whatever happened in between him and Vanity, as to where Originally, she was supposed to be in the movie Purple Rain. It wasn't Apollonia, it was Vanity from Canada up there. You know what I'm talking about? So, you listen to Vanity Six music, like literally, I'm singing this as a child. Nasty girls, it's time to dance, dance. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I think they got more hot water upstairs than they got sugar on a candy cane. You know what I'm saying? They was talking real shit. You see? And then when Apollonia 6, their uh, debut release was Sex Shooter. Now we talking to 84, 1984. This is what the children were hearing on the radio. And then we talk about Prince. And I don't want to, be a negative Nancy. That's not the purpose of this bill, right? But Sheila E. and Prince had a song called Erotic City. And the shit thump. It bang right now. If you listen to Erotic City right now, it bang. You say what it is, but again, as a 6, 7, and 8-year old child, we were exposed to this music. We were exposed to Prince wearing panties, literally naked in the shower. Right? It is what it is. I'm telling you the truth. It don't matter whether it's not about compliance. Like, you agree with me? Yeah, it was bad. Yeah, I mean, that's just what I mean about being an 80s baby. If you don't know these things, if you don't know what the reason why Morris Day of the time said that they wore the baggy pants, you talking about, you see what I'm saying? But when you talk about sagging in the baggy pants and the easy access is was purpose. You have to be a musicologist to follow me. You see, that's what Morris Day at the time said. It ain't what I said. It's what they said. And it is what the elders, peace be upon them, Richard Gregory, who we call Dick Gregory, he gave you the science on the sagging of the pants. You see, but you know me, I like to go back and back and back, and whatever is the most ancient, and we're not gonna get the most ancient of sagging, but by way of one of the greatest martial artists and senseis to ever walk, he discussed and even showed various paintings and stuff out of older books that showed, and we just gonna say what it is, the Moors with these baggy pants on in order to conceal their scimitars and stuff. Like, this was the explanation that he was given, which I keep telling y'all, as a scholar, you have to be able to argue both sides. You just can't be on the front. What is the obverse? If you're not versed in what the obverse is, you say stupid shit like that's pseudo all the time. You lean on uh, referencing other scholars or other brothers and sisters who are on this journey of knowledge of self, who have been accepted as a teacher by many, but they may just consider themselves to just be students, right? But again, when you have people who consider you to be a teacher or their teacher, it is what it is. You can't just get out here professing to be a teacher and you don't have anybody, you know what I'm saying this about you. It's you who says this about you. You need to have, you know what I'm saying? Can't be a teacher if you don't have students, right? And every real teacher know that you are forever a student. Hold on, I got a little interruption, y'all. Son, okay, pardon the interruption, right? Um, wow. So I have a list, and in order to qualify to be on this list as I would say a movie soundtrack, being that number one, you have the answer to the question. The number one movie soundtrack within my household as a youth was the Superfly. You know what I'm saying? Which is the 80s. Although this came out in 1972, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't even here yet. But all throughout the 80s, amongst other music that, you know what I'm saying, was being played in my household, this was number one. No matter what year it was, actually, to be honest. But being that for me, number two was Purple Rain, I had to exclude any soundtracks that weren't released in the 70s or the 80s. Sorry. So with that being said, the show didn't make it. Above the Rim, none of the movie soundtracks of our era that I can name could make this list because this is about the 70s and the 80s. So let's do it. Again, and this is in no particular order. We know what my number one and my number two is. My number one is what you see on the screen, right? My number two is Purple Rain. All right. So this is what else is on the list. You said, well, you got number one and number two as Superfly and Purple Rain, but you from Detroit. Why wouldn't you have Sparkle as your number one or your number two favorite movie soundtrack? And not only is Sparkle, right? And we talking about the original movie Sparkle with Irene, Kara, and old boy from Miami Vice, Michael something, Phillips something something. He got like three first names. You know what I'm saying? For all three of his names, I can't think of it right now. Miami Vice, the hazel guy with the hazel eyes, right? Aretha Franklin did the movie soundtrack for Sparkle. A Detroit girl, right? In all of her claims. I'm not gonna argue with Memphis, right? I don't have to. What she say? Saying it is what it is. So that's definitely on the list. The next one is Crush Groove. Crush Groove came out in what, 85? I gotta be right. Because I didn't even, when I made this list, um, for the movies that I knew the year of, I didn't look for anything, right? So we got Crush Groove. We know that's LL, Fat Boys, Force MDs, had songs on there, Curtis Blow, and so on and so forth, right? So that's a favorite in the 80s growing up. Coffee, the movie Coffee with Pam Grier. And I don't know which one. I don't know if the movie Foxy Brown or the movie Coffee came first. I don't know, which order that goes, but I know that Roy Ayers did the soundtrack for the movie Coffee. And it's lit. If you're not hip, go listen. If you never seen the movie Coffee starring Pam Grier from 1970 something, go look at it, right? They label these films as black exploitation films, like, and why everything that we come together to express that is based with fictional movie characters and things like this and that. They always gotta try to label it something. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. That irritates me. That term, black exploitation. Like, come on now. Now, when movies like and when I say Sugar Hill, I'm not talking about the movie Sugar Hill from the 90s. I'm talking about the horror film that was called Sugar Hill from the 70s, right? Um, Blackula, and you know what I'm saying? Like, these were horror films, just like any like The Exorcist or anything that they may have made, right? But to try to cheapen and lord a brand, we'll put some type of label on it, type whatever. Okay, let me go on. So Coffee, and that's Roy Ayers. The movie Car Wash, right? You got and I didn't even look this up. I remembered the group Rolls Royce, and who else did songs on the Car Wash soundtrack? I don't know. This is some shit. Most of this shit came out before I was even born. So what? It still was playing. It was still playing in my household in the 80s, right? All right, let's go. We got Shaft, 1971, another movie that predates me, and it's Isaac Hayes. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of the movie Shaft, but you can't not love Moses. You can't not love Isaac Hayes, right? Was they calling him Black Moses or something like that? Like, and it was a lot of Hebrew Israelites, or people who were, following that same paradigm at that time. All you got to do is listen to the music and pay attention to the artists or what they were saying. You might have missed it. I didn't. So we got Shaft. Then we got a one that barely made it. The movie soundtrack for Do the Right Thing. We got Public Enemy, Fight the Power. We got Guy. Uh, it's just a fantasy, but I thought that was the name of the song. Come to find out, the name of the song is The Fantasy, La Fantasy, El Fantasy. So, 1989, barely made it. Next, we got Beverly Hills Cop. And yeah, it's real popish. It's real. It's not the movie soundtrack for Beverly Hills Cop is nowhere in competition with the movie soundtrack Superfly. Nowhere near it. Can't touch it or nothing like that. But what I do like is the way um the producers for the soundtrack had the continuous relationship with the Pointer Sisters, and that puts some money in the Pointer Sisters' pocket, right? Got them some deserved recognition in my book, right? They got the little platinum status or gold status, or I'm probably platinum. We look it up. I could look it up, but I don't feel like all that because we got the stuff to discuss, right? Um, Black Caesar, Black Caesar, which had a part two, but it wasn't called Black Caesar Part Two. It was called Hell Up in Harlem or something like that. And then later on in the '90s, you had the film with Robin Givens and Forrest Lou Whitaker. How you say his name? Is that his name? Forrest Whitaker. I'm calling him Lou Whitaker because I'm thinking about the Detroit Tigers of 1984 when they had Sweet Lou Whitaker. You know what I'm talking about? If you ain't from the D, you don't know, right? You don't know about Sweet Lou Whitaker and Chet Lemon and Lance Parrish, and they won the 1984 World Series. The same year Purple Rain came out. So Purple Rain in 1984, you know what I'm saying, go together for me. Um, but again, Black Caesar 1973, James Brown. So you can't lose. You can't lose listening to a whole soundtrack with The Godfather of Soul. You just can't, right? And if I had to put these in a chronological order, it would be in the top five. Is where Black Caesar would be, right? Now, next we have a film with the movie soundtrack that was released in the year of 1978. 1978, with celebrities or stars such as a Michael Jackson, Diana Ross, Nipsey Hussle. See, he got me Russell, got me Nipsey Hussle, peace be upon him, got me mixing up Nipsey Russell. You know, I know Nipsey Russell. He was in the movie Football with Goldie Hawn and Wesley Snipes back in the day. Like, we gonna discuss, we gonna go in deep we can. But this is about the movie soundtracks. Another one is Trouble Man. And this is, I'm looking at the date, 1972, Marvin Gaye. Yeah. So, number one, Superfly. Number two, Purple Rain. See, had to give it up for the purple one. Royalty, Just Like Me. Peace be upon him. I hope we never hear no, you know what I'm saying? No crazy pedo type things you see about that artist, because I was more so raised and grew up on his music than I did Michael Jackson, just because of the era. I'm an 80s baby, you know, uh, and in the 80s set the tone for a lot of what is going on today, right? Not to say that the 60s or the 70s didn't, but the 80s changed things, you know, not just technologically based on, for instance, the Curtis Mayfield, the Superfly, you know what I'm saying? That consists of a band. You see, somebody is playing the strings. You know, you have multiple people because you got the bass, you got lead guitar. You know, you might even have some acoustic guitar, electric guitar, all your percussion, which is even including your boards, your pianos, your drums, your bongos. Then you got your brass, you know, your saxophones and trombones and trumpets and so on and so forth. Now, you know, we got Pro Tools, and it is what it is. It's a different age with that. So I can appreciate a band. I can appreciate a Parliament, a Mint Condition, Incognito. All of these, you know, bands, like they really make it happen with skill, whether they can read music or not. They ear has to have the ability to project perfect pitch. We'll just say that. That makes sense to you? Or it's gonna sound like trash. You know, if you have somebody like a Usher singing in a key of C and you keep missing it with the B flat, and you're not gonna make it. But when you got AI, I'm talking about Pro Tools. You see, even if you just go back to the MPC, like it had the ability to synchronize and put you on put your shit on beat. If you was making the beat off beat, you understand what I'm saying? The computerized gigawatt 5000 will fix that for you. As a musician, that shit has, you see what I'm saying? You have to fix it yourself. Is no you have to have that shit down verbatim. Is no you get no help, right? So it's things is different. So let's talk about the thumbnail, you know, the picture that comes along with the video. Let's discuss OJ. Now, I've mentioned him various times throughout different bills that we've done, and with that being said, I'm not a fan. I'm not going to drag him. The only thing I've never. This is the thing, you know. He originally was married to a sister and had children, melanated children, and then later he chose Becky, right? And I don't know, you know, it has to do with me and my experience. So to me, I just didn't rock with dude. So when he caught the case for the murder case for murdering, you know, Becky, I wasn't one of the individuals who cared whether or not he was found innocent or guilty, really, because I wasn't a fan. I ain't like him. You know what I'm saying? You married, you know, and Now you being accused of killing her. I'm like, that's what your ass get. I'm just gonna say what it is. That was my mentality at the time, right? So, but at the same time, I understood as to why he had so much support from indigenous people. I'm gonna just say what it is. I keep hearing, oh, the African American and the indigenous community, or the indigenous community, and no, we not gonna. I'm not doing none of that. I'd say melanated, indigenous, the autochtons or the autochthonous or the aboriginal or the Moors. I'm saying the same thing when I say any of that. It don't matter how you feel, and I don't care. But I do care about us using colors, because you don't see Chinese or Asian people talking about us yellow people got to stick together, and yellow people, and you don't hear uh, uh, this particular regime that you would call a government or United States of Americas or the state of this or the state of that. They don't refer to Asians as yellow people. It's no yellow check box on any uh, uh, application or form, where they would ask for a description, you see, of your ethnicity. Am I saying that right? Ethnicity. Okay. Okay. Uh, no. So, when we talk about deprivation of rights under the color of law, if I'm not calling myself black and all this other dumb shit, you see, it just is what it is. So let's carry on. Um, Make me lose my train of thought. Again, I understood why our people were supportive of OJ. You see, our people were supportive of OJ, whether he was guilty or not, and we was really geeked when he was found not guilty. You see, when he was found not guilty, we rejoiced because what we have witnessed is we have witnessed, a peace be upon him, Emmett Till's murderers walk free. You see, so for one of us to walk free after murdering a white woman, the same kind of white woman that lied on peace be upon him again, the ancestor Emmett Till, yeah, yeah, share away, right? That's just what it was. That was why a lot of our people were really, most of our people were elated about him being acquitted. That's what it was. It wasn't anything as to where we even cared whether or not he was actually guilty of the crime, right? Which, again, I didn't care either or way, and I didn't care about the crime. That was my mentality back then. And if you were in somewhere like a Livonia or a Birmingham, Michigan, or outside of Detroit, when that verdict happened, you may have faced the type of anger at you, because I was around all pale people when that verdict came down, and almost every last one of them made sure to say something to me about it in a hateful uh, uh, way. And it pissed me off because I'm like, I don't give a if they find him innocent, or I mean, if they find him guilty or not guilty, because there's no innocent, right? Because I don't even like dude. He made that bed. His ass got a lie in it. You went and laid down with fleas and ticks and lice, and what's the other one I always used to say? Fleas and ticks, and but it is what it is. You got what you got coming. That's how I felt about that, right? Um, who else we got on the block? I really, really wanted to discuss these drones. These drones they done caught flying in to these prisons, specifically for what I saw in Georgia, delivering guns, drugs, and cell phones, and probably any other thing that you could make that you can think of, right? Drones just freely flying shit in. Crazy. Somebody's making money, and when you look at these prisons, the holes in the walls, and um just the terrible conditions that they have these young men and melanated men, period, and women. Who that? That's you? All right. Like, this is crazy. Y'all, it ain't that they cannot afford to do the repairs uh to the prisons that need to be done as far as structurally, is that they don't care. Period. We know this. It's a money making, it's the same regime of people running this shit that been running it. This is, and we got them Mr. C pass. I think the same day as OJ, if I'm not mistaken, either the same day or the day before. For me, when you mention Mr. C, the first thing I think of is Big Daddy Kane. A lot of people, depending on the generation that you're from, a lot of people when they hear Mr. C name being mentioned, they think about Biggie and the other artists that he was able to assist in, getting a record deal, or being able to work with certain producers and things like this and that. Um, I don't know. I wouldn't say anything negative about the man, although, excuse me, we've all heard the stories about his questionable sexuality, would just say. Like, for me, being that he was always a background person, he wasn't Big Daddy Kane. He wasn't in the forefront with the mic claiming to be this masculine gigolo type cat. Like, it was no reason. If these things were true about him, is really no reason for me to be like, you know, oh, excuse me, calling them, types of names and being a fraud, because we don't know how he portrayed himself. You see what I'm saying? He was in the background. He's a DJ, right? He's a music producer. I want to call him an A&R, but something similar to that fashion. He was a plug for many, right? So I don't know, I don't know. Peace be upon him. Best I could say. Long as I don't hear no allegations of you being involved in any type of actual crimes. You see what I'm saying? Uh, some things that we have been bamboozled into thinking is criminal activity actually isn't. So that's why I'm saying it in that way. Yeah, yeah. Who else we had up on here? I need to. I guess we can go on. We have another case of, peace be upon him, Tamir Rice situation going on with the young man who was shot. I think it's the Cleveland police again, uh, or in Ohio. The young man had a toy gun, right? What is he, like 14 years old, something like that? And the cop pulls up, and in less than either 15 or less than 30 seconds, he shoots the young man, but he's wearing a body cam. So as it's taking place, you hear, this is a child, first of all, number one. Number two, you hear him keep saying to you, it's fake, it's fake, it's a fucking toy, right? But you shoot him anyway with his hands up. Now he shoots him in the wrist. because his hands is up. Had his hands been out to the side and him, you see what I'm saying? He would have shot him in the head. His hands was here, right? Again, if his hands would have been out, stretched out anywhere, uh, uh, away from his head, he would have been shot in the head. Same situation repeating itself again because it's the same ring of power. Let's just say it like that. This is how they got rich. You see, this is how they became wealthy. Excuse me. This corporate entity is what it is. I know I missed something. I could have put up something with the drones and let y'all see that and see that again. You know, a lot of people are gonna be charged for this. Excuse me. They've already arrested a guy who is the owner of a company that does drone repairs. Now, allegedly, he's involved with the drones taking the guns and the drugs and the cell phones and whatever else into the prisons. So this shit is crazy. I don't know what's going on with this storm that I was being told about. I'm gonna have to look that shit up before I get in front of the camera and start talking about that. But the the solar, y'all know my bad, y'all. The solar eclipse. I mean, everybody has an opinion, right? The only opinion that's gonna be accurate would be that, and it wouldn't be an opinion at this point, but it would be that of someone who has the ability to accurately, verbatim, uh, give us a day by day look at the future and what the causes. That would be, you know what I'm saying? For me, that would be the only way that you're going to be able to have proof for anything that you say for a explanation as to what the outcome post eclipse, after the eclipse, what's going to happen. You saying what's going to happen at this moment in time, what you're saying was going to happen next week in May the 19th, in June the 15th, in during the fall or autumn of 2024 Gregorian calendar year. You see what I'm saying? Like, you have to be able to, for me, be a seer or somebody who, is able to, first of all, I'm gonna tell you like this. If you are that individual, what you need to do for me, and I will pay you a whole lot. What you need to do is accurately predict the Powerball numbers or some shit like that, and give it to me. Or for yourself. You see, since you know so fucking much about what the outcome of these galactical, cosmological things that are taking place. We I'm honest enough to say that I don't know. I don't. I don't. So that's what it is. Those are the favorites. I wanted to see something, and I think if I try to see it, it might mess the live up, but I'm going to try anyway. I'm a trier who keeps trying, not a quitter who keeps quitting. I want to see if this gonna work or not. It might. If it don't, it don't. It's okay. So yeah, I got y'all. That was it. It worked, and that was it. I don't see where I have any other obligations at this moment in time because we discussed everything on the itinerary. We briefly talked about OJ. We briefly talked about Mr. C. Peace be upon him. The drones again. If you want information on this case concerning these drones flying in these guns and this yayo and the cocaine and the cell phones into the prisons, all you gotta do is Google it. That's a mainstream conversation at this time, so it shouldn't be hard to find. As far as OJ, I'm like, again, I don't feel any kind of way. Again, being that uh he was acquitted of the criminal charges against him for the murder of a white woman, is you're not gonna find very many melanated people who, feel like an injustice was done. Right? You're not. You talking about the same white women that were lying, telling people that melanated man r'd her since we can't they don't want you to say the word. You talking about them white women? You talking about us being sympathetic? It's not gonna happen. And again, I don't know. These celebrities be on some weird stuff, and I'm not saying all of them. I'm not one of them individuals who gonna Cat Williams y'all and say again, for you to say that all of them are a part of various secret orders or whatnot, and they have to run backward, naked, backward through the cornfield, all of them, or they wouldn't be able to be in a movie or 4 or 5 or 6 movies and all of this. Like, I don't get in all of that. It's they do enough weirdo stuff on the surface as to where I'm not gonna acclimate to regurgitating a bunch of garbage that I have no proof of. And even if I had, I mean, even if there were proof, like I don't, if you a singer, sing. If you any form of entertainment, you a rapper, rap. If you run footballs, run the football. Throw the touchdown, or you know what I'm saying? Like dribble the basketball. Tell a joke. If you a comedian, you see what I'm saying? Tell a joke. I don't want to get into all of that. You see, but you have to realize they say uh uh bad press is still good press because somebody is speaking that copywritten name. You see, so it's a check and a balance in that for them every time that they are mentioned, right? This is crazy. So I ain't gonna hold y'all, cause excuse me, I'm not gonna keep yarning in nobody's face. That ain't what it is. I really was feeling the uh the vibe, the movie soundtrack vibe. Obviously, without a license or licensing by way of BMI or ASCAP, not able to play these people music. But um, we have so many memories already. Like it's not even a necessity. As soon as you seen that picture, you was like, I'm your mama, I'm your daddy, I'm the in the alley, I'm the doctor when you need, have some coke, have some weed. You know me, I'm your friend, man, and thick and thin. I'm your, yeah, yeah. Maybe you might have um had a cherishable moment or memory with more one of his more conscious songs for sure. So that's what it is. And this has been another good bill. You see, we didn't have to stick to the norm of me um, complicating things by way of the my views on like there's some things I really want to talk about. I guess we say that for tomorrow concerning the Pan Africans and the scammers and the they call abos, which is it's just a lot. The various people who side with the corporate entities in their alphabet gangs in their charter having subsidiaries and look to us to say, hey, if you're not recognized by the state of and the city of, then y'all not the real Choctaw and y'all not the, hold on, do you forget you looking for verification for my birthright from the same people who stole it? So it's a lot that I want to say that, they're not making a lot of sense. And when I say they, I'm talking about the mainstream, current, hot so-called scholars professing to be um, Pan-Africanists and Hebrew Israelites and uh, gurus of science. I was about to say Scientology, astronomy, uh, 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 Mother Zodiacus. You see what I'm saying? A lot of people profess to be experts, and they experts in scamming you with the various what you call it, uh, digital currency like Bitcoin. What you call that? Crypto and stocks, and want you to pay to come to this seminar or that seminar, or are asking for a substantial amount of money to do various uniform commercial code financing statements and declarations and affidavits and proclamations and so on and so forth, bills of exchange and acceptance for value and la da 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 da. Like, this shit is stirring up all in one pot, and some of it is worthy of examination and some of it is simply not. That decision needs to be made by you, not by way, what a camera at, not by way of some man or woman professing to be your savior. Because when they're done with these documents, or when they're done setting up a trust account, or something to do with your estate, or something to do with this stock or this a cryptocurrency, or this parcel of land, and you see what I'm saying? Like, in your lifetime, you will find that most things that are too good to be true aren't true at all, right? Just same way they say truth is stranger than fiction. Certain things are worthy of you investing your time, which is your equity, into, and a lot of things just aren't. In order for you to find out, you're gonna have to take risks sometimes. You can't run around saying everything is a fraud and everything is pseudo. Again, because you don't know, you call it pseudo. As if you see what I'm saying, have lived long enough to experience everything, which no one has. So think about that. And as we get up out of here, just consider what I'm saying to you. And with that, we say peace.
I said I'm smoke, fire, blowing air, carbon, earth, solid, water, wet. I'm steady B, a sister soldier that dies effects. So gone with all that hoopla and rah-rah. Unless you talking about Atun, Namuna, Amara, pineal glands, all see your eyes. We call the third eye. We came to build, not pay your bill. Sling 'em in the municipality, city seals like roadkill, descendants of ancient mound builders. Not supposed to need encyclopedias, genetically encoded with 720. We got amnesia, claiming we Christian cretins in love with Yahweh, Muhammad, and Jesus. But you was living inside of God when you was a fetus. But believers and never believers